Bint Jbeil, August 2006. Hezbollah's capital of the south, a town which saw some of the fiercest fighting of the war. As with Beirut, it was ordinary families who suffered. The scale of the destruction was beyond belief.
Yes, this used to be our home, our family home. It was beautiful. There were trees and flowers, and children used to play here, but now there is nothing.
All the family used to sit here together in the afternoon. We grew up with my uncle's family. They destroyed our house. Why? It was beautiful. What had we done? No one is helping. The government is not looking for its people. Why did they destroy homes like this? What can I say?
The sense of abandonment people felt in Beirut is mirrored in Bint Jbeil. Bint Jbeil suffered massive destruction. I'm really keen to talk to the family I met last year and see whether life has changed. In the years since I last met MAHA, her frustration had not gone away. She says she has received nothing from the government and is reliant on Gulf donors.
The government has done nothing for us. No one has done anything for us apart from the state of Qatar.
The house seemed much larger than the building which had been destroyed the year before.
Some things have changed, but not a lot. I hope that I will have my own home soon. A place for me and my children to live in. We are grateful for what the Qataris have done so far, but I just hope they fulfill their promises.
On the side of the street, I met a man living under canvas who had set up his own demonstration against the distribution of compensation. It warned Gulf donors to watch out as there were thieves in Bint Jbeil.
I'm living in this tent with my wife and 3 children. There are many people who have been given huge compensation. They had nothing before and now they live in palaces. But there are also those who used to have houses and have received nothing. I was well off, but now I have nothing. My children and I are left to live in the dirt. This makes no difference to the people in charge. We hope that they will notice us soon.
The case of Haidar Faraj is just a reminder of how delicate the reconstruction project is, something the local authorities and the Qataris who are rebuilding Bint Jbeil have to deal with. On the outskirts of Bint Jbeil, HASNA SABBAGH's family were still living in the wrecked remains of their house, the walls punctured by missiles. In contrast to the grateful citizens of South Beirut, they believe that Hezbollah had forgotten them.
We've been living like this for a year. I wish that Hassan Nasrallah would come and see himself. The whole world is thanking Qatar, and I want to thank them too. But you can see the situation. I am unable to thank anyone. My mother was hurt when the first missile hit us. They dragged her on a stretcher to the hospital, but there was no available medical care. Her nerves have been damaged, and now she can't walk.
What sort of life is this? Here I am sitting on the floor. I crawl around. I live and I cry. Nobody came. No one brought me anything, or noticed me, or brought me anything. They brought aid to everyone, and I am a forgotten woman. Hezbollah means the world to me. I've spent 15 years with them, and they took me to Hajj. And may God keep Hassan Nasrallah. If he saw me in this position, will he accept this? They gave us $3,000, but what can we do with $3,000?
Hasna and her family now face the possibility of another cold winter in a house without walls. In 2006, my final stop was Qana. On the 30th of July, a missile struck the building in which two families were sheltering, killing 27, the youngest only 9 months old. The family had left their own homes to shelter together in the building. They believed its size would protect them. Tragically, the opposite was true. Mohammed, who lost his mother, his wife and his 5 children, showed me the ruins.
From sunset, there was a lot of shelling in that valley, lots of missiles and planes. At 11 p.m., the helicopters were very low, and I thought there was going to be an attack. The helicopters went away, and the bombing began, and carried on, getting heavier and heavier. At 1 a.m., the whole world exploded. The house collapsed. All 3 floors collapsed on top of us. The missile which attacked us here went through and ended in the ground. Everyone who was in this room was blown into the next room. 27 martyrs in that one instant.
On the day I arrived, the families had come together for the first time since that night to commemorate the loss of their relatives. Sana, Mohammed's cousin, lost her mother and father and her 2 brothers together with her older sister.
I was scared, but normally when I'm scared I cry out for my mother or father. I stood up and shouted, "Mum, Dad," I said, "if you can hear me, answer me." I screamed and screamed, but no one answered. My sister Zainab was pulling children from the rubble. I said to her, "Where are Mum and Dad?" She said, "I haven't seen them yet. They're still sleeping." Because it was dark, I couldn't find my parents. When I was leaving, I heard someone calling out, but I don't know whose voice it was.
A year later, I have come back to Qana. I had heard that Mohammed had remarried, but was still living in the house he had shared with his family for 15 years.
This is the house where my children grew up. This is my family. This is my wife, my eldest daughter Hawra, 12.5 years old, Ali, 11 years old, Yahya, 9 years old, Asim, 7 years old, Zahra, this is Zahra's photo. Zahra was 2.5 years old. She was not yet aware of this world. I built this part of the house after the war. I have got married now and I live here. So I'm living in this part of the house, but I come back here each day to see their photos and the life we shared. I live in the past, but I have hope for the future.
But Mohammed's vision of the future is one colored by the tragic events of last year.
I'm trying to start a new family. But if I started a new family, it won't make me forget the past. I have vowed that if God blesses me with children, I will give them the same names as my children who died. I want them to grow up to take revenge for their brothers and sisters. That is, if God does not grant me revenge before I leave this life. This is how I want to bring them up.
Despite his marriage, Mohammed had found it impossible to move on. I hope that Sana's story would be a happier one. I found her living with her aunt 100 meters from the scene of the massacre. She too remained consumed by grief.
Before my parents died, it wasn't like this. We were all together, but after I lost them, lost my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, there is no love anymore. There are times when I don't just feel alone in the house or the village, I feel alone in the whole world. If I could have just one moment from the time when my mother and father were alive, for them to talk to me, or just call my name, I would feel the luckiest person alive.
Sana took me back to the spot where the house had stood.
Although the place has been knocked down and is just land, I like to go there and sit, thinking that this was the place where I was sleeping. Here my brother and I used to eat. Here my father and I used to sleep. There are still some of their clothes by the side of the road. I look at them and remember how we used to live here. Everyone says that we should change these thoughts in our heads and that we must forget, especially the day of the massacre. Before the war, I didn't believe that there was an enemy watching our every move. I didn't know there was an enemy that was so desperate to destroy Hezbollah. Now all my thoughts are political. I wonder if the day will come when I will seek revenge against the Americans and the Israelis. Could it happen that the tables will turn and I will see myself avenging my parents' deaths with my own hands? God willing, it will happen like this. When I'm lonely, I feel I must change this feeling, so I go to the graveyard. I read Quran for my parents, talk with my brothers and sisters. It makes us feel happier.
Both Mohammed and Sana seem locked in the past, trapped in a world that came to an end on the 30th of July. The only future they can see is one in which they are granted revenge against their enemies. Few wars achieve their stated aims, but Lebanon's summer war has left nothing beyond a bleak and uncertain legacy for those who have survived it.